Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where I double the host, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Judy.
And I'm so happy that we're here together, guys.
Yay! I'm happy too,
Yeah.
Alan.
And you know what's really sad, though?
What's
Sometimes jobs disappear.
By jobs.
I know. And it's a sad thing.
We saw that in 2020.
And it's
I
one
saw
thing to
that
lose
before
a
that,
job.
too.
It's another thing when your job goes extinct,
Like a dinosaur.
like a dinosaur. And today, I'd like to talk a little bit about jobs that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
It's very like I feel like we need to put the Twilight Zone theme song.
Yeah. Well, because it's odd, and sometimes, I mean, you know, as societies
Times change.
Yeah, times change. Societies progress. Some jobs that were there, like the horse manure collector and things like that, they just kind of disappear, or they get modified into something new.
I was gonna say, we've
because
seen
horses
that.
don't exist anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
we've seen that in media, though. All of our jobs in the media field, either jobs get combined or completely cut off or replaced by a machine.
That's true.
So-
That's what happened to me. I was replaced by the technology I was working on.
By a robot.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It happens.
So, yeah, it's weird that it's happening now. Or I guess I can't say it's weird, but I always thought, I'm too young for this to happen. That happens
Well,
to the older people.
Yeah,
you know?
and
Well, the young
it's only
people
going to
replace
get
the older people.
It's only going to happen faster and
Yeah.
more often now, and
That's right.
a lot of people are wringing their hands about it. But that's stuff that's in the future. But we could talk about things that have happened
In the
as of today.
past.
Yeah, yeah. We can go way back.
I wonder what some of those extinct jobs are.
Well, would you like to hear one?
Absolutely.
Try this out. Did you know that there was a job that was called a leech collector?
Leech.
Oh, he must have worked with the doctor's office or something.
Why would they do that?
Because they used to bleed people, didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
That when I can remember, I think it was in health sciences or something like that. We had a
Yeah, we
teacher
talked about
that would talk about how medical techniques and treatments had progressed through time, and that was always one of the most bizarrest ideas that I think that we've ever come, like bloodletting and
I feel like
and for hundreds and thousands of years, like this was that's probably a good idea.
I feel like that's a really complicated way
humors.
to get like blood out of people. I'm like, have these people not heard of a knife?
yeah.
You know, like, hey, let's get a little bug.
I mean, maybe leeches are cleaner. Like, I feel like if you're just
I don't
going to
know.
slit someone's arm, you're going to have blood all over the operating table. If you get a leech, they just eat it.
That's
Well,
true.
Unless
So it's
they
cleaner?
already had like an incision they were used to, like, I think maybe it was used to maybe suck what was already there. And
Yeah,
they're
because
using,
I'm
like,
sure
they
that
were
it would
using,
be
like, take the
like if you had a
impurities out.
boil or if you had a pus or something. Apparently, a leech doesn't care, and so instead of like letting that out, a leech will eat it. But here's the actual job description of a leech
right.
Oh, boy.
collector. So before modern medicine, leeches were used for bloodletting. Doctors used them to suck out toxic blood and disease from a patient. Leech collectors went into swamps and marshes. They use old horses or their own bodies for leeches to attach to.
Oh.
The profession was stopped as even more disease began to spread. Imagine that.
All of
I
our
feel
leech
like-
collectors are getting sick. What's
I was
going
going
on?
to say, yeah, all of these people are all of a sudden getting sick. We need more leeches.
Well, that's it. I mean, you're not sending out the healthiest
That's
leech
true.
collectors,
No.
to sign up for the job. You're probably giving it to the, diseased Joe over there.
Oh, the leech collector called in sick again. That's the 10th person this week.
Bring out your dead.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But isn't that, I should have done research on it. Isn't that was one of the things that sadly killed George Washington, right? Because I think that was
I'm
one of the
sure
ways.
it killed a lot of people.
That was one of the ways that they
Yeah,
were
but he's
trying
famous,
to.
so he matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like a white wig. It was important.
It was documented.
I feel like in some weird way, like the reason why these things had to have existed, in some happenstance somewhere in the ancient times, maybe it worked once, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be the thing. This is the groundbreaking
Yeah.
thing." we'll just get these blood-sucking creatures all over us, and then suck all the sickness out, and we'll be all big and healthy.
I mean, I think the main thing that they didn't think about was the limit. Like, you can let some blood out, but people were just going blood crazy.
like vampires.
Yeah, like, if you would just drain all the blood from his body, he'll be well. Like, there's a limit to how much blood you can take.
So, like, has anybody checked on Devon for a minute? Oh, we left the leeches on.
we did it again.
Oops.
Poor Devon. I like these hypothetical names.
Well, and this was before like microbiology too. So you probably just thought of the only thing that's being sucked out is the blood or the toxins or the disease or something.
Yeah, they weren't able to really
You don't
regulate
realize that. No, it's actually an exchange of fluids from the. Is a leech an insect? No, it's not.
I
It's
called
a
it bug
parasite.
earlier, but that
I was going to
doesn't
say,
I don't know.
parasite's the only word I can come
Slug?
up with.
Yeah, it's some sort of. I don't know.
It's just something.
Okay.
I should know this. But
Definitely is something.
I haven't been around leeches lately, so
Yeah.
I can't ask them to make sure.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, when you start to realize why is everybody getting sick, in tropical climates or things like that, and you're like, oh, well, maybe it's these pesky mosquitoes that are.
Well, they also weren't hand
transmitting.
washing either. That was a
that
big
was
thing
still
that did help people not die so often.
Hygiene.
And the water. I mean, the water that the
Yeah,
leeches
it's like
are in is
could
probably
have
not clean.
Had
so-
like dysentery or
Yeah,
something.
it's
there's
swamp
so
water.
many factors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an ecosystem of its own. It is not sterile.
So if whatever you had inside didn't kill you, the
Yeah.
water and whatever else.
Devon's leeches.
Yeah,
Don't drink the swamp water. Just get those leeches. Is there any other
I've got one.
extinct?
I have one.
Jobs?
It's not as weird as
Nothing
the
popping up
leeches.
on Indeed.
I know. It's kind of hard to follow up Alan's leech
I
story.
would love to see that on Indeed. Like, man, I'm really looking for a job right now. What does
Leech
Indeed
collector.
have? Leech collector.
Are there
Get that
benefits?
resume
What
on
are the
me.
benefits for this? You need health insurance for sure.
I feel like you definitely need health insurance if you're going to do that.
Like, I used to
90-day
catch-
trial period? No way.
I used to catch butterflies when I was younger. Does that count as experience?
Well, you're going to intern first.
you gotta intern.
If you
and if you
pass.
survive,
You got
survive.
to start with the larva first,
That's right.
and then
There you
work
go.
your way to non-butterfly creatures. Our job experience is going to be great. This is why we're podcasters. So I have one. Like I said, it's not as exciting, but it's still kind of a bygone era, which is an ice cutter.
Oh, yeah.
And
I saw Frozen.
yeah. well, in that case, you know exactly.
I know exactly. They sing while they're doing it. It's an opening credit. It's a montage
let it
job.
go, Alan. Just let it go.
Nice.
Oh man, yeah, sorry, it doesn't go into a song and dance, but apparently in the early 1800s, this is before refrigeration, and a lot of people like kept their stuff like underground or in cellars or something like that. But ice cutters, it was actually a dangerous job because they have to go into like frozen lakes and rivers and like, literally use like saws and knives and cut these giant boulders, giant chunks of ice,
yeah.
and then deliver it to either families or businesses or whatever. So I guess I can understand why that would be dangerous, especially if the water isn't that frozen yet.
Yeah.
And see, it's another water job, I guess, along with the leeches.
They're frozen leeches. in the
Frozen leeches.
Frozen pond.
Yeah, frozen
my
pond.
first realization to that, I'm sad to say, well, no, I'm not. I'm happy that I live in a modern time where I can get ice on demand whenever I want.
Whenever you want.
Yeah, modern day refrigeration. But was Back to the Future Part 3. So when... what's Michael J. Fox's character? Marty. So when Marty goes back to the Wild West, he asks for iced tea, and everybody just laughs at him. or it's ice water or something. He wants a glass of ice water, and everybody was laughing at him, and they're like, "You're not getting any ice until winter."
I mean, it's true. It was a seasonal thing, you know? And
so everything that you would have drank in the summertime was room temperature.
Yeah.
Unless it was cooled in a cellar.
If they had a
cellar
well,
or underground.
if the well is deep enough, it
Well
would be kind
water.
of cool.
Yeah. That would be a great way to quench your thirst on the hot Arizona sun by drinking hot boiling water.
Yeah, it's that or death. I'll take it.
Yeah, whatever the lesser of two evils are.
That's right.
But see, the thing is with ice cutting, because I watch a lot of old movies, and so I guess in a way it was kind of like people that used to like deliver milk and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like that. You know, you see those in like the suburban areas, and they would just deliver ice and stuff. But so it was reminding me of the Three Stooges and other.
I was
comedies.
waiting for that.
Yeah, because there's an episode called "An Ache in Every Steak," and they're delivering ice, and they're having to go up these long stairways. But it's just crazy. Like that was the thing. Like their truck was just full of ice, and they would just chisel it out and then pass it out to people. You know.
Well, I mean, there's old stories of like kids that used to ride the ice wagon, and that was like their little treat because they would get a little piece of ice or like a little icicle or whatever, and that was like I guess like a popsicle or something. They got to suck on a piece of ice, which I've
Simpler
heard.
time.
Yeah.
Well, and I can remember
The first
a
popsicle.
kitchen utensil that I knew growing up, although it was never used.
An ice pick?
An ice pick. And I was always, I mean, obviously it's, for a young boy, it's an amazing instrument because it is.
It's a weapon.
It's a weapon. And it's super sharp. But, I mean, we have no need for ice picks anymore. So if that was your jam.
The only time I see it,
business,
the only time
you're
I see it
done with
now
that.
is a form of art when people do the ice sculpting.
But they
And
do
so-
that-
See, that's
but
a-
that's
they use like a-
chiseling, right? And
some
chainsaws.
of them do chisels and chainsaws.
Those are super cool to watch.
For the
They
ones that do
are.
like the intricate stuff, I still see them use ice picks like they're trying to do
Really?
like.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not used for actual jobs anymore. It's more of a
Right.
tool for art.
So maybe it's not completely extinct because ice is an art form. You still have to use an ice. What was your thing?
Oh, ice cutter.
Oh, ice cutter. I guess ice cutter is an artist, not a.
I think they call it an ice sculptor now because it sounds a lot
Yeah.
nicer than I'm an ice cutter. But after modern refrigeration, they said in the 20s is when that started becoming obsolete. But then if you look at a lot of shows in like the 30s and 40s, maybe a lot of smaller towns that were still transitioning or whatever, people were still doing the ice thing. So I'm not quite sure exactly when it completely stopped.
Yeah.
But maybe another, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 years after that.
Yeah.
So a little bit of ice history for everybody.
Okay.
What about you, Chair? What kind of cool story you have?
Well, I have a fun little tidbit. This is the human alarm clock. So in the 1800s, people used to hire other people to wake them up in the morning.
Nice.
So they were called
With a kiss.
not quite.
Only on Valentine's Day.
No, they were called either human alarm clocks or knocker-uppers, which
has a whole other
I kind of
connotation.
giggled about that. So that's obviously not a job, but they would.
I mean, it could be, but not for what you're thinking about.
They would use long poles to tap on the windows of their employers, or they would shoot peas
Like
at the
pea shooters.
like a little pea shooter at the
Ah.
glass window.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wake up.
That raises another question: who wakes up?
The waker-uppers?
The waker-uppers.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an inception. It's like I'm hiring you to wake me up so I can wake the guy up, so I can wake the other guy up. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like that would be redundant, but thank God for alarm clocks.
Absolutely. How about you, Dan?
For job wise,
Yeah.
So I saw this one. It's a pin setter. So this is for bowling alleys, and this was around 1956 is when the automatic pin setters were introduced. But there was a whole profession for setting up bowling pins,
Which you did before.
Which, well, I got the machines unstuck. I didn't have a
that's true.
full-on
Okay.
pin setter. I did have to go back there and give them a kick every time if a ball got stuck or a pin
Guess that
got stuck back
partially
there. But yeah,
counts.
it was kind of like similar to what I do. Of course, what I read here was that the employees of these jobs were often children.
Yeah.
So there's no go nowadays, especially because it was dangerous.
yeah,
you know,
very dangerous.
flying pins, flying bowling balls all over the place. Those things are heavy too.
Little orphan
Yeah.
Have you ever
waifs.
handle an actual bowling pin? They're not light.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I don't think I've ever held. At least I don't remember actually ever holding a bowling.
Well,
And
ball.
I'm sure that they've evolved too. I think at the beginning they were just wooden pins.
They probably were. Nowadays they're just.
I mean, a bowling
yeah.
ball
super
is
heavy.
like 16, 20-something pounds.
It's
and
like
you're rolling
54
it at,
pounds.
or you're rolling it at this huge speed. It's got to have some weight to it.
You were bowling some really heavy bowling balls. I think bowling balls run between about 9 and
I
about
was like
maybe
20
16 or
pounds.
17.
I don't know. I was trying to think of a number.
Maybe 20. You're close on the high end.
You're rolling a boulder. You're like,
I got to make sure those pins
Here, little
get down.
Tommy, come on, let's try this sport of bowling. I can't pick it up.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have to if you want to enjoy it.
Indiana Jones
Yeah.
boulder.
yeah, by the way, Tommy, set up the pins after you hit it. You know?
But see, like with a lot of jobs that get rid of because of automation, the job went from pin setter to person who fixes the pin setting machine.
Yeah.
You know, like they just kind of replaced it with that. So.
Yeah, I can remember as a child they would sell like long games or something, and there was you would get almost like a egg crate or something, or maybe more like a 6-pack where the pins would snap in, and you would get your 10 pins, and then there'd be a plastic ball or something. You could do it in the hallway.
Oh, absolutely.
But that was only fun until you had to reset the pins. And you're like, this game is terrible.
It's going to be like horseshoes. You have to have somebody on each side with pins on each side and then just throw the ball back and forth.
So you need a team.
You need
right.
not a bowling team, like a bowling setup.
You need to hire a pin setter to come set up your lawn pins.
And you got to wake up in time.
You had to wake up the guy to be like, hey,
wake him up with an ice pick.
Hey, set up those pins.
So not a full-on job, but when you said that about the wake-up person, I was thinking like in hotels. Because like in hotels, you can still get like a wake-up call, right? So somebody has to be down there and call you. And like wake you up.
True.
Well, no, those are automated now.
Are they automated?
Yeah. Well,
I've
at least
been in a hotel for a minute.
Some of
the times that I did. So we went on a cruise. It was Turner Classic Movies, but it was on a Disney cruise ship. So if you request a wake up call, you get an automated recording of Mickey saying "Wake up."
He's like,
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you don't even get a real person with that.
But that's fun if you're like a kid. You're
No,
like,
it is fun. Yeah,
Mickey,
Mickey called me this morning. But there are automated ones for like fancier hotels.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'd like to add an extra one, and I remember my grandmother telling me this. So she lived in an era where there were no inside plumbing. So the
outhouse.
The outhouse. And she told me a story about a profession that's now extinct, thank goodness. And she called him the 6-barrel man. And the 6-barrel man would go through town, and he had 6 barrels on his cart, and he would go out and clean out the outhouses.
All the outhouses.
Yeah.
No kids were riding on that cart.
No kids were right there, and they were not looking for a treat at all.
There was a similar one that I guess happened during the royal times. The king would have like a royal
chamber pot.
Well, yeah, but you would have the royal guy that would assist you with that, like in the bathroom.
You need that.
So I was like, I
He
guess
probably had some leeches in his pocket.
that's for a whole other ailment.
Try to figure it out. Your Highness, it's time for your daily bloodletting.
More like your Highness.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was waiting for that. I knew you were going to say that. No, but in talking about jobs that are extinct, have you guys seen those videos of those grocery stores where you can just go in, grab your stuff, and walk out?
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
I mean, I think you probably need someone to stock the shelves, but you know, you don't need
a cashier
cashiers
anymore.
or you know, I mean, I know Dylan still has bag checkers, which is a throwback, but you don't need that. You know, so it's like you don't even need people anymore.
But we're already doing like self-checkout, so it's even we're already transitioning to not.
I remember the first chain, or at least that I could experience in California, and it was an entire chain that was their jam. It was called Fresh and Easy, and there would be like a manager that would watch and help out if there was trouble at the. But yeah, it was a completely automated system. You rang up I mean, it's familiar now, but 20 years ago, it was.
And that was still a new thing.
Yeah, I was like, can I even do this? Am I even smart enough to take this food that I've collected and then pay for it on my own and then bag it up?
Yeah, I kind of remember that too, because I was like, oh man, you mean I gotta do this by myself?
Yeah.
and I remember the first time I did, I was like, okay, so I go hold this and then beep. I'm like, oh, and then I put it. It's weird because. To be honest, it's not hard, which I guess for cashiers everywhere that does sound terrible.
I was gonna say,
I think could do that.
We've worked enough retail that I guess it didn't
maybe
really
that's
phase me anyway. But
yeah,
maybe that's why, because we do have a background in retail. But I mean, even if you're not, you can. I guess now it's easy to check out your.
But there are
no, I've seen some people at those self checkouts. I'm just like, you should go have somebody help you.
Yeah, there are. Well, and then one of the issues with self check is that when you have like discounted stuff, it doesn't always read.
Right.
You know, so it's like with regular retail stuff, it can work, but if you have like a special like red sticker item or yellow sticker item, it doesn't always read that. So then you have that bit of a.
So that one's free.
Yeah,
That's how that
I
works.
will say self-check does make it easier to steal. Not that I've done it on purpose.
What?
Yeah.
Never done it on
thought about
purpose.
that.
You know, I mean, there's cameras everywhere. If they really wanted to stop me for taking a box of cereal.
Charity Harmon.
No, I didn't say.
Unbelievable.
I didn't steal it on purpose. That's the key word, not on purpose. No, what happens, because Sarah was talking about the discount stuff. If I'm scanning stuff.
5-finger discount.
Yeah.
No, if I'm scanning stuff and it
Sticky
doesn't
fingers over here.
scan, I'm like, okay, I'll put this off to the side and then I'll have someone help me. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'm done. So I'm bagging up my stuff. I end up grabbing the things I didn't scan because I'm like, they're with everything else.
Now it's gone from one thing to things now. It's
It
multiplying.
did turn plural.
Yeah.
Bingo.
This story's growing.
These are my
Just like
paid
your
for
nose.
bags. These are my not paid for bags.
I only spent $5 and I got 7 bags of groceries. How did that work?
Be like, I don't know what to tell you. They didn't scan. They don't scan. What can I do?
But I will say sometimes because we go through the door and it'll beep like, oh, you have a unchecked. That doesn't always happen either. So then you can't.
So you can get away with your 7 bags of groceries. That's all I'm saying.
Well, before we incriminate ourselves any further, let's all take the fifth. But if you have any stories of extinct jobs that have bit the dust and are very interesting, we'd love to hear from them. And Sarah's going to tell you where you can tell us about these jobs that no longer apply.
You said all in one breath, Alan. You good there?
If you're unemployed, contact Double Stuff Podcast.
I need the leeches.
So check us out on our website, which is doublestuffpod.com. Check us out on our social media platforms. So we're available on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast, and of course on Twitter at Double Stuff P, and it's the letter P.